Welcome to Tales Unraveled.
Welcome to Tales Unraveled. We're gonna talk about what just happened.
There was a lot of combat. This is
There was
the
a lot of combat.
longest episode this book, I believe. Chapter. I don't know.
Yes, for sure. And you know what? Let me see also. How many renders in Blender did I do? I'd like specifically work out a process to like make sure rendering was like really fast, like just rendering out something I had made was really fast, so that I wasn't spending unnecessary time on like getting settings set up and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you also had to go back in and like reanimate some of that stuff too. I mean, you
here and
did
there.
anyway, just for like post effects. Like you added blood to the side of the boats and some of the character models, which was always fun as we saw like more and more like quote unquote builds of the episode.
Yeah,
Renders
for
of the
context,
episode.
when we did the fight, we had a rough map that, a person could put in Roll20 and use for combat. But that was really only for reference, and half of that ended up not getting recorded. So Stephan had to put in a lot of legwork to kind of recreate the fight.
Yeah, so big ups to the big man DM himself for going in and putting in all the effort that makes this show so unique.
Sexy.
Yeah, it's very sexy, very unique, very.
Thank you,
very
and we're already getting
fetch.
questions in. So
Yay.
so let me just say it was 127 renders, not including the other art that was not the game board. And what are questions people are asking?
Well,
What did I use for art and animation? For art I generally use Clip Studio Paint, and then for the animation stuff I use Blender.
made in Blender.
I don't touch Adobe. We don't even edit in Adobe. Not anymore. Fuck those
We also got
guys.
a question about how many pontificate were left at the end, because you had Dramont, Moira, Wit, the Abjurat, who we've now been revealed, and then just one Mook who climbed up right there at the end.
Yes.
That and everybody that the people whose boat we stole, they stayed on land, and then there was an entire extra ship of people that sailed around to the northern side.
Oh yeah, so the forces have not been defeated. We just got most of their fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we
ones
took
in their
we
immediate
took out
vicinity are taken care of.
we took out their command structure.
Yeah. And
Also, Cassie MVP of that fight, far and away.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Without her, that would have been a very different encounter.
it might have also been a
hitting-
short battle, but like the story would have gone in an entirely different direction.
Yes.
Yeah, the power of paternal feelings from Tremont kept him out of the fight for a good portion.
Second MVP of the fight, my D4s.
Yeah.
And you know what? Gritty wasn't too shabby.
Ready.
Gritty did much better in his first battle than Karna did. That's for damn sure.
Power of
Oh,
love.
We also got a bit of a lore question for elves, pointing out how Moira and Delamere had their horns shaved down.
Yeah.
Was there any relationship? Is their power as elves tied in any way to their ears or horns?
No. It's just part of their bodies that the pontificate has made certain people ashamed of.
Inconvenient body parts.
Yes.
Topical.
Why don't you all just look like us and look the same?
And I will say, I know it'd make me look smart if I was like, I planned that the whole time with Moira. But actually, I just realized in book 2, like, we haven't seen her ears. We haven't seen her forehead. I have these other plans with Delamere. I can foreshadow them with Moira because you can't see any of those features. So she's been hiding them. It's an intentional choice. That's called novel.
That's news to me. I thought you had planned that the whole time.
Nope.
I you know what? Now I think less of you. That's too bad.
Always
Nah,
hide
not planned.
that stuff. Make it sound like you planned this all in.
was
No, I
always
like
a
to be
plan.
transparent. I'm not gonna pull a fucking J.K. Rowling, fuck that lady, and be like, no, I knew everything the whole time.
The snake was really a Korean lady the whole time.
Yes, there was a Jewish Hogwarts student the whole time, and his name was Ezra Goldstein.
Or there used to be shit everywhere.
Hermione's always been black. That's why when she talks about freeing,
That's why she cares about slavery. That's not awkward at all.
Because she's annoying.
Anyway,
Anyway, Tales Unwritten.
Stefan, did you have a contingency if we all just happened to lose the fight, maybe even die? Was
I
something from the Twitch chat?
Contingencies? No. We just would have seen where the story goes.
there would have been a defeat condition for sure, but like honestly I don't know, like there's certainly a world in which we could have lost if all the dice went against us, but the odds were in our favor as soon as we got on that ship and outnumbered them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you guys actively made decisions that made the fight easier for yourselves. Like you kept those guys from following you, or at least from following you intact, because there were 8 guys on that boat, and it was whittled down to 4, and and then it was less.
You exploded them.
Yeah,
Outgunned.
gonna be
But also,
gonna be dealing with the fallout of that for a bit.
yeah, but also like Maud took out a few guys that were already on the ship as well. So like you guys actively like culled their numbers, and I wasn't about to be unfair in undoing any of that effort.
Like, oh, by the
if
way,
you made
there
the
were
fight easier.
yeah.
You did it.
Oh, by the way, there were 15 more guys hiding below deck, and
Yeah, fuck that. And I could have had, and honestly, it would even make sense for more guys to be below deck, but that's not fun. How's that fun?
Here's the thing. To me, make something more challenging. That to me can be fun because I think of combat as a puzzle. Like you notice how when I'm playing, I try to play very efficiently. I try to use my action economy as like efficiently as possible. And even though we kind of nerfed my class, like I'm not even doing what my class should be doing. Because every time I was making Sunder attack, I should have also been handing out Bardic Inspiration because that's one of the triggers for it. Instead, I'm just like, nah, just have Sunder. I don't need to give everybody else advantages as well. But
Go ahead.
yeah, that's part of 5e's charm for combat is just like using all of the pieces to be as efficient as possible in trying to survive.
And I'm more than happy to reward that like thinking.
Yeah, and for another logistical question, we got Izu Zig. Sorry, how long did the fight go unedited?
Oh my God, it was like three and a half hours. We were there late.
And we'd also, the reason a lot of us were dressed the same was that we recorded the previous session as well that day, so that's probably the longest we've ever gone.
Yeah, we took like a quick break. I went home, kind of like I obviously I changed clothes, but I needed to feed my dog, take him for a walk. But yeah, that was a long recording day, and we had a lot of those throughout books 3 and 4 as well.
Yeah. That one might have still been the longest one, but
for sure, just because that involved like a 3-hour combat at the end of it all.
Yeah, I believe at the beginning of the next episode we say the length that we were there the previous night because we went to bed and then
we were
got
there. Yeah,
up. And,
I think we were there till like 11 p.m. that night.
I believe that was the number. Yeah, like that's insane.
Yeah. At the beginning of the next episode, we say with that next episode, which will be available immediately after this stream for all members.
Yeah, for those of you who are gifted members by very generous people here who joined us live.
Yeah,
and $5 and up patrons.
Hell yeah.
But Derpian asked, if your character could have made a different choice this episode, what would it be? I feel like that answer's very easy for you, Nick.
Well, it's hard to say because in the moment, like everything like I maybe wouldn't have cast Shatter at level 3. I maybe would have cast it at level 2. Maybe a few more people would have survived. But in his head, adrenaline pumping, he needs to save the people that are on the ship. And if all of those people down there are going to climb up and try to kill everybody, the easy answer is to break that boat and try to take care as much of that threat as possible. But that was the first time Karna ever killed somebody, let alone that many people at once, or at least consciously. I don't know what happened in his backstory. It was kind of vague as to whether or not he killed anybody when his powers awoke.
Quinn and Jesse, how about you? What might your characters have done differently?
Jesse, you go first. I'm responding.
Sure. I mean, thinking about it, I don't think Mon would do anything differently. I think she would do everything the same.
She would still just be entirely on instinct and just sort of do whatever she's feeling at the moment.
Yeah, she's very like hard on her sleeve. Like instinctual, this is what I have to do in this moment. So even if you like gave her an opportunity to go back, I think she would think for a moment and then be like, "Oh, I'm good." You know, like what would I change?
Despite being a plotter, despite being a rogue, she's not much to plot and plan.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronan brings up a good point. I guess I didn't upcast it because I don't get level 3 slots until the next level.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
I guess I just rolled insanely well.
Yeah.
I heard that I did 21 damage. I'm like, shit, I must have rolled like 2 8s and a 5 or something. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, Nancy. Yeah, Quinn.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just asking for you. Yeah, I got Nancy.
So what was the question? I have to. Someone was asking about Alex's.
If you could have made any other if your character could have made any other decision during like this session, would Alex have still gone and taken that boat, or would he have like tried to like in hindsight make any other decision? Because ultimately what he did was smart. Like that is something that tactically will help later.
Like the only fact Alex was not aware of was his father being on the main boat. And I feel like he still would have not wanted to confront his father at that point. So he still would have gone and gotten the other boat. So I don't think he would have done anything differently, even with all the facts of the situation. I feel like his idea was, we're facing 2 boats. Most of the party's gone to take on the people on the bigger boat, but that other boat's still a problem and it's going to have to be dealt with at some point. So why not deal with it while there's maybe a big distraction going on?
It would have been a very different encounter if Alex had like climbed up there, because I feel like it would have devolved into talking a lot quicker.
Yeah, and then
Either that or Daddy would have to take off his belt and.
Well, and Alex could have action surged to like get more done. That said, the other boat would have been fully manned and been able to come up if they noticed a problem and jump right in.
I think the biggest thing that would have been different, but only like I don't think he would have done anything to stop it. It just wouldn't have happened in the first place. Tremont would have kept his eye, because I don't think the fight would have gotten that bad.
Right. It might have been over a lot faster. Cool. Alex Shans asks, Stephan, I play as a dungeon master and have some difficulty keeping track of turn order. Any tips? There are online things. I DM from my laptop. There are online things that make that really, really easy so that you don't really have to think about it that much. That's what I do.
Yeah, in Roll20, there's an initiative order counter if you use Roll20. Whenever I'm doing like pen and paper, I just kind of have index cards that I line up.
And there's just online tools like that just on their own that are just turn counters for you for tabletop stuff. System agnostic, you can just use them.
Yeah, if you're doing a virtual tabletop, there's a lot of stuff that's built into those different systems. For me, I usually have combats that are small enough that I can keep track of it in my head. But failing that, I do have a system where I hinge index cards on the DM screen, as you can kind of see the conga line of people that are going, and then I just kind of move cards up and down as time goes on.
Yeah, a lot of other DMs seem to be very analog, and I'm just not at all. If something happens to my laptop, oh well, I guess we're done.
You're a digital boy. Jason S dropped $10 super chat asking any plans for this channel between books 2 and 3. We've actually been having meetings about that.
Yes.
There is a Milanote board full of stuff we want to do.
We've been making notes. We've been coming up with ideas, stuff we can make, including like ways to sort of make some like sort of TTRPG actual play stuff that maybe is not like the main show, to sort of tide people over until the main show comes out.
One shots. Who knows? There are plans, and you will be privy to them as soon as we decide which ones are best actionable.
But what we do know is members will have access to lore articles coming out intermittently in the off season. There will also be outtakes for certain tiers of members, like the ones who get member only videos. And we will also be releasing the first album as well as the first volume of DM loops. We have stuff that will be coming out during the off season for sure, in addition to whatever extra stuff for everyone that we're thinking about doing.
Need a sequel to that Halloween one shot. You know, I missed doing that last year when I was moving. I've been talking to these guys that I definitely want to do some Halloween stuff.
That'd be sick. Stefan, about what you said, the outtakes are those the same as the deleted scenes, or are they
Yes,
two
that's what I
separate?
mean. That's what I mean by that.
Okay, sure. I mean, they are outtakes. I mean,
Yeah, they're
some
both.
of them are. Yeah, yeah. Some of them are like little things that we start going into, and then we realize like, oh, that doesn't make our character wouldn't actually do that because this and this. And we're like, scratch that, and then we just rewind, and just continue on from a certain other point. So you
That's
get to
the thing,
see
like
silly things like that.
And that's part of why the show is. That's part of why we're. I forgot to answer this before, because someone was asking in comments, and I wanted to answer that here. People have been asking like, "Hey, can you just upload like full versions?" No, we're not gonna do that. We don't want to. Part of it is just like, yeah. Sometimes we do retakes of things. Sometimes we like we fumble our lines enough where we're like, okay, I need to start from the beginning. Like sometimes one of us interrupts the other one, and I have to be like, all right, wait. We're
Roll
doing
back.
this first.
Yeah, and there's a funny example of that in this one where we have Tremont give reference to a religion that doesn't exist, but you did a different take of that. I can't quite remember if I'm the one that's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, you were the one.
Doesn't exist. But then
We went with the
Tremont,
original
Jesus
because
Christ,
it just
was
sounded funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we kept it.
Sometimes
And,
it's just funnier, even though
Yeah.
it doesn't make lore sense.
And I didn't say it was dialogue. I said he was like. I think so. It's,
Yeah, but you
not,
said it in his voice. That makes it canon.
it's
so.
not in-universe dialogue. It's just a joke. Some
Too
things
late,
are just
too late.
jokes.
That's
Too
the
late.
line.
Jesus is
That's the
canon.
line.
This is just super future Earth. But
Aiden O'Shea, thank you so much for the £5. I believe that's pounds. Not a question. Just want to bring attention to Jesse's 14 delivery. That was hilarious. Thank you so much.
yeah, I loved that interaction because I knew on your character sheet you had 30 health. I'm like, Mod out of 30. How do you feel?
I love I honestly might be one of my favorite clips out of the whole show so far because it has all of my favorite like beats of a thing that makes me like a moment from a show like this, which is that everyone's having a good time and laughing. Like I love a moment where we all just stop and laugh, even though we're in this really hard battle and there's crazy shit happening. It's really fun to just like at the root of this, you're having fun with your friends and like fucking around. And so I enjoy little moments where there's kind of a break there and we're all just enjoying a nice little character moment. And it's also just very in character for Maud to the point where I couldn't formulate a joke that well if I was sitting there to write it, just because I was in her brain. It just came out of me. And after I said it and people laughed, I didn't realize it was funny until people started laughing, that kind of thing. It's just really nice. As we were doing it, Stephan was like, yeah, that's a clip we should make for YouTube shorts and stuff. And it's nice when you find organic moments like that where like everyone's just having a good time and it's just very nice.
The beauty of improv.
Yeah.
So there's two questions right next to each other that are very similar. So I'll sort of ask them together. If a player character died, what would you make new ones and continue Tales Unwritten? If your character dies, what will you do to continue the story and still play? Make a new character. So like it's kind of the same question. So if a character died, what would happen? Like in terms of what the players would do.
I'd rage quit and just nah. I guess that's entirely up to you being the DM, really. Like
I mean, a little bit, but it's also kind of up to you guys.
I'd always be willing to make a new character.
Mm-hmm.
Like my hope would always be that like, man, I hope if they do die that is like poignant, like you got to find like some meaning in it, but at least to make
But that's
narrative
partially
sense.
my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like me as a person, in the moment, I can see, even though you're the DM, I could see you being like, I want to know your opinion on this. Like I want this to be a discussion kind of thing. Because I'm sure some DMs have a thing that they might talk with their players with before they start the game to be like, this is kind of what I had in mind. Or I'm sure some DMs are like, this is what is going to happen if you die. But we kind of have a nice, what's the word? It's very collaborative in that way of like, Stephan doesn't want to do anything that we don't want to do. And obviously these characters mean a lot to you. So
I feel like there are certain situations that you walk into where it's like, yeah, death is a possibility. But I feel like if we were like, you wouldn't do it out of nowhere. It's one of those things where if we made a decision and you're like, that's a really bad idea. Are you sure you want to do this?
Maud wants to drink bleach. Maud is going to pick up a gallon of bleach and start chugging it.
Yeah, I feel like it's always very clear when like things are like that. Like, could a player character have died in that battle if it were like nasty enough? Probably. Would I have let it happen? Probably. Like
there was a lot more. There was a lot of fodder that I think you would have killed first, though. Is the thing. Like it's like, aha, there you go. they're
Yeah.
dead. Now
They're-
Minfie won't be able to go back to her husband's, and you feel bad.
And yeah, there's lots of ways to hurt to hurt your players in terms of emotionally in a way that's good for a story. To be
Just
fair.
ask my players.
But yeah, and it's not always killing the player character. Sometimes it's worse to kill off an NPC. But like, yeah, no, it was one of those things where it's always on the table. If it happens naturally in the story, I'm not gonna just like overwrite that. Even if it is kind of unsatisfying, because sometimes that just happens, and like, I'll work on how to make that feel good, like probably in the next session or something to like sort of tie it all together. But yeah, it could be an option where like, yeah, if someone wanted to make a new character, that's fine. If someone's like, I think this is like I'm bowing out, we need to bring someone else in, we do that. But it's,
yeah, I thought almost for certain you were gonna kill the shit out of Fergus.
I mean, if he had died, that would have allowed it, and
Yeah,
there
like,
would have been some thematic relevance to it with him paying for his sins.
Totally. Oh yeah, gosh. Because that would kind of his fault. Me as a person, I'm totally fine with my character dying at any point. And I would just roll a new character, you know, and I would talk to the DM, in this case Stephan, about it and be like, hey, okay, like she did. I will pull something out of my ass. I'm gonna think about stuff for like 24 hours, and then I'm gonna come to you with like an idea. And you're probably like, cool, great. And then we just like have a discussion about it. They would probably like, for example, if like Maud died in that last battle, wherever the plot was gonna go with her, the plot should still go that way, in my opinion. And I'll just have a character that is at that new location. That's the simplest idea that I could come up with.
Oh yeah, no, it would be a way where I find a way to just naturally work someone in like that's like, yeah, related to what's going on.
Yeah, I have ideas for characters in my head in case like the worst should happen to Karna. I have ideas for like other characters that could pop in. I like coming up with characters. It's one of my. It's practically a hobby, I guess.
Quinn, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to character death, I'm sort of sitting in the same boat where I would want, especially someone like Alex, to have a death that isn't meaningless, but
Nobody
at the same
wants a
time-
meaningless death. Yeah.
Yeah, true. But actually, I might be losing myself in the weeds here. I'm open to Alex dying and coming back in with a character that explores another aspect of the world. So, because I definitely like pushing Stephan to do more world building so I can put myself in different places and enjoy it. Which is like whenever everyone else was making a character that, you know, it was definitely a unique species that added to the lore of the world. And I went, oh, there's a church that's like a dominating figure in the setting. I want to be part of that. So, gosh, I feel like I'm all over the place with this answer.
No, you're
But
good.
yeah, I'd want to come back in as a new character that explores another aspect of the setting. So it probably wouldn't be another like I definitely wouldn't want to make Alex's twin brother Charles, who's suddenly here. But I like being in the kind of game that isn't afraid to have a continuity of theme, if not characters.
Chimp Possible asks, how have you all been enjoying Nimble 5e rules for combat? And they were saying like, yeah, they have a friend who dislikes for 5e, and they were thinking about recommending it.
If we didn't use it for this battle, we would have been there till like 1 a.m.
Yes, yeah, that's what
so
I'm saying. It saved
very
us.
It was very good for this situation. It definitely needs some more fudging in terms of like how its crit rules when it comes to like multi-dice attack, but
Keeping in mind that I only used part of it, I threw away some stuff and made up some of my own stuff. It's only partially based on Nimble 5e, so the actual core Nimble 5e might be better than what we did.
maybe.
And just from the perspective of not only would have taken longer, but just how many times the energy would have gone out of the room. If we did something and then rolled a hit and then missed. It's like, okay, well, that's my turn. Guess I'll wait for the other 12 people to go.
One thing I do definitely like is I think it's more fun for when we're in combat for attacks to hit more than they miss. That makes way more sense if people are fucking doing melee all the time. Like, I'm okay with, like, rolling to hit for, like, ranged attacks, but for melee, people would be hitting each other.
That comes down to like how you flavor the miss.
Yeah.
Too many people are like, you miss, well, they dodged it. But a lot of the times it's you miss, it glances off the armor. You miss, they're able to deflect it. Like
That's
they're
true,
able to
and
parry.
we did do some of that
Yeah.
even in this. But it's one of those things where it's also just like it does suck the energy out of the room if people are missing a lot, and that can just happen because it's chance. And
How
like
badly
that's
my dice were treating me, I feel like I even more reason to just not participate in the fight at all.
It's just Justin says, speaking of one shots, some of you seem more flexible mechanics and rules wise for story's sake. What do you think of those 2d6 systems that y'all use for one shots like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot and the Atlantis one? That's more of a question for Nick because I didn't play those.
Well,
But-
I'm a big fan of that system as I've been kind of homebrewing it for a while.
Yeah.
If you do like that system, I do play in a Fallout inspired game on Saturdays called Gateway over on twitch.tv/theunexpectables. We use that system for that game. I like it just because it's a fun storytelling device. It doesn't linger too much in the combat. For those that like crunch, it's less crunchy. It's more of just a storytelling dice game than it is a full on like resource intensive like something with the mechanics of a 5e or something.
It's really funny because like I do like a little bit more crunch in a system, but not quite. It's a common thing to hear people say like, oh well, D&D is great for combat center stuff, but it's not great for role play. I feel literally the opposite. I think I like the D&D mechanics for all the role play stuff, and I think it needs to be severely pared down for the combat for me to have fun. For me to have the most fun, rather. I am having fun, but like I'd have more fun if the combat were a little less crunchy than it is, and prioritize speed and whatnot.
Yeah, I come from like I'm a very impatient person. I like just kind of telling the story and moving stuff along. So just being able to say, okay, I want to do this, roll this. Okay, you do that. And if you want combat to be more like difficult, like the way I tend to do combat, and that is like, okay, I want to take this guy down. Okay, you hit him, but he's still standing. Like, you're going through combat that way. I don't know. I can't explain it without going into like the entire rule set, but
Yeah. And that's also why like our mutual interest in like more storytelling focused stuff is also why like we've all had a little bit of interest in Daggerheart and at least taking a look at it and seeing what it's about. And seeing how we feel about it, because it seems like it might be a good mix of like a little crunchy but still like story focused. And if that's true for us, great. We'll see. But part of the reason we just went for D&D though is because more people are more likely to just understand when jumping right into a show.
It's very accessible. People already kind of know it. It's been around for
Yeah.
The power of market domination.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we kind of have to go with the flow sometimes.
We did have this question a few times. When did you decide that Delamere should show up at this point in time?
Before the season started.
Yeah, you teased it at the end of book 1.
Yeah.
Or at least that she was out there.
Yeah, I've known. That's one of those ones I have known for a long time. Like since before I think the season started. Since season 1 started.
All the story blends in for me right now because I have forbidden information. What's the thing in season 1 that foreshadowed?
The end of the montage in book 1.
Right.
Oh, that's the person that was opening.
That was Delamere.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I remember that scene.
Yeah, I was guessing things, I think, after season 1 had come out. So it left my brain, and I haven't thought about it again until this moment.
Yeah, and I felt a little bad because I'm very quick to pick up on a lot of Stephan's narrative cues. As soon as lithe assassin, she looked at Sunder. Does she now? I was like, okay, that's who that is. Now try to get Karna to know.
but you were expecting some sort of like soul bond to be happening, and it wasn't. So I think that was confused you more than threw you off.
It's not necessarily that like when I was talking about like playing my music to a particular rhythm, what I meant, like, you know, when we were having that conversation that I think kind of like left off, was that Karna would watch Delamere fight and play to her rhythm.
Right.
Yeah, which is why when you're saying like, no, your music doesn't affect her movement at all, I'm like, not really what I was asking, but all right.
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, yeah, it rolled low, so no, it was not. It was not to the same rhythm as Delamere's. Despite that,
which will make more sense next episode, I think.
Yeah. Do elf horns always resemble? The Caden Bibb asks, do elf horns always resemble tree branches, or they can resemble other plants visually? So far, they've resembled tree branches. In my head, they've consistently been tree branches. They can have plants on them that don't generally grow on tree branches. But they do all resemble tree branches because otherwise they'd be floppy, and I don't want that.
Could you have horns that look like coral?
I think that'd be a special kind of situation.
Like a sea elf.
I think
because I've thought about a few characters and crossed my mind of kind of like a seafaring elf with kind of the coral horns instead of the more earth-based.
But coral aren't plants.
They do grow though. But we're getting into like the weeds of like lore that nobody but me knows. So it's one of those things like I could see a way in which I could justify that if someone wanted to do something like that.
Cool. Pirates.
That's one thing I like, is that like that doesn't exist, but it can. Like
oh yeah, no, I will. I'm happy to improvise world building. That's why I kind of keep it vague until I don't have to anymore.
Yeah, the Fani didn't exist until I said I kind of want to play a satyr character,
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, they can exist. Why not?
And now they're very important.
Yeah.
And now there's offshoots of them as well.
Speaking of, we did get a question about do other species have offshoots like the Fani and the Baphomoreans?
They can. Do they at this moment?
Sure, why not?
Whenever Stephan feels like it, that's when it'll happen.
I mean, also, as I've made clear, whenever the players feel like it.
And we also haven't exactly explored that much of the world yet. So
yeah, no, we
just
haven't
met that many things. There are lots of things out there that exist that we don't know about.
Yeah, honestly, there have been a few questions that have come up that are just like, well, you're just asking for spoilers at this point, so we're not going to answer.
Whether they're spoilers we know or not.
How much HP did Tremont or Fergus have in total? Tremont had over 100 HP. And Fergus had around 80 something. I don't remember those. I don't remember those exactly. Looking for more
Who makes
questions.
end credit music? Him.
Me, yeah.
In the Zoom call, you're pointing at me, Quinn, and I was like, oh.
No, I have our thing up here too, so I know what it looks like for other people.
Yeah, he was doing it right.
I know who I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
If Nick, Stephan, Jesse.
No, Windows, I don't want to ever finish setting up because your version of finishing setting up is bad.
Do you want to do Windows 11? It'll be good.
What is the next early premiere coming out, today or tomorrow? The next episode premiere for members and patrons is going out immediately after this is done.
And the next premiere for everybody else will be this same time next Wednesday, if you want to be here for the...
And this will be
the finale of book 2.
Yeah, the episode 10 that's about to come out for patrons and members is the last episode of book 2.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for more. If you guys see an interesting question, just go ahead and throw it out there. Just taking a look.
And there was also one back in Twitch chat. Are we doing story beat level ups or XP base? It's Milestone.
Oh yeah, we're doing Milestone. I don't fuck with XP. I think XP sucks.
It's such a weird thing to like both calculate, because like first of all, I like making as a DM myself, I like making up monsters, and I don't know how to attribute XP to something like that.
Yeah, I also, as you guys will see, I homebrew a majority of the enemies that you will be seeing here and there, or I reflavor something that already exists. But And it's a thing where I just don't want to calculate that, for one. I don't like math. I just have to do it sometimes. And also, I think, like, with XP, you can, like, oh, you had this big climactic fight. You got a lot of XP. And you're going to level up when you defeat that boar.
Yeah. Oh, man, you're almost there. You almost got that level. Just go hit that goblin cave real quick.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those, you're good.
Yeah,
Take
like
this small child.
I'd much rather experience be gained by the characters having experiences that would give them the actual experience, not experience points from doing the fighting enough bad guys. And it also encourages players to just be combat centric in how they approach things, which I think is also negative for at least definitely for what we're doing.
Yeah, there are some DMs out there that are like dungeon crawl DMs who will like basically host games at like game stores and stuff like that. And I'm sure like XP is good for games like that, but I don't know. Any campaign I've ever played, Milestone just feels better because it's like, oh, this character just did this. That feels like it's deserving of this. And like not all the players need to level up at the same time sometimes. I think in like the campaign that I'm running, like one of the players is like a whole level ahead of everybody else. Just because of shit that's happened.
Yeah, and I'd be cool with that too, depending on the situation. It's also a thing where like video games exist and have like the XP system that they can do better than we can in real life because the math can happen instantly. And there's something that we can do in real life that video games can't do is Milestone, because video games just can't make those decisions.
Well, they can, but then the game would also have to be like level based.
Yeah, like, and well, it's the thing
like
where
stage
it's
based, I should say.
it'd be very difficult to do that well, and even doing that well would be bad for somebody.
Honestly, I can't keep track of this off the top of my head, but the question has popped up enough times. What was the final body count? How much of that was mod? Mod at least had 3 just before the fight even broke out.
However, Karna definitely had the most.
Yeah, because I feel like the total body count was somewhere around 10 with what mod did before the fight, sinking the one lifeboat with the shatter. And
Actually, I think Karna,
and also lighting a dude on fire, which
that's
was
true. Yeah, that puts him over.
technically me and Chloe, but
Yeah, no, that puts
she threw it. She threw the thing. But
it was Karna's decision for sure, and so that puts Karna, I think, 1 kill above Maud.
And well,
I'm a
Mod Mod saved Sister Wit, so I get a negative from my body counts.
but I also stopped the battle, so
I accidentally tried to kill her, and then I saved her. So
and we're not counting all of the Fawnee that we saved. Have we considered how many people we saved?
Yeah, actually, it's negative because we saved so many lives.
And
so actually, all that murder was good.
to answer people who are asking, when do we think the next book is going to come out? We're aiming for fall. We can't promise that, but we're aiming for it, and I think we'll be able to do that just fine. But we'll have
It
to
is
see.
in post-production now.
Yes, we're going to begin editing soon.
we also had someone asking for a cheeky one-word spoiler for book 3. I feel like we could workshop that if we really want to.
I'd rather do
Finish.
that.
Next
time?
at the
next time.
Tales Unraveled. Yeah.
All right.
I
Ask that
said-
question again next week, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah. I said a word that has nothing really to do with the season, but it's an inside joke for us.
I got one. I like the one I thought of.
Yeah, we'll do that next week. Then now's a bad time to do that.
Yeah.
We also got North Countryman asking, Lanny mentioned this early on, but how do Alexander and Maud feel about having to kill? Alex has not had experience taking a life. Yep. He hasn't had experience taking a life.
He's certainly not quick to do it.
Yeah, and he in the heat of the moment and during this whole thing, he was definitely hesitant to use force. Especially since he still feels a level of kinship with the other apostles. That's why, because I feel like if Maud was in Alex's position, and Jesse, you can confirm this, would have turned the cannon on the lifeboats at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because it's one of those things that's very obvious to me as I'm inside of her head, but I didn't realize wasn't common knowledge to people, is how easy it is for Maud to kill. Maud is very comfortable killing. And we haven't said the character reason for that in her backstory, but you can probably guess,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
work it
from
out.
what you've seen of her family dynamic.
And just how she lived. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
especially
I don't
when
know
you
if it's
when you
like-
keep in mind that she's been able to talk to animals as seems like as long as she can remember. So everything she's ever killed for food has been able to talk to her. So
And that
people
does
aren't much
something,
different.
Yeah. No, that fucks you up in a way that everything is very normalized for you. Because you can probably guess, like, it's not spoilers or anything to say, like, seeing the family dynamic with her, you can probably guess that her mother was training her to do something or be the best that she can be at a certain thing, because of how easily she was like, yeah, just go fight each other, you know. There was clearly something weird going on. And it's very normal for her to be killing people. So now that she's in an environment where she could do that, she's just doing it, and it's not a big deal at all to her.
Yeah, so Alex has had the military training where he recognizes the necessity that sometimes a life needs to be taken, but so far he hasn't had to yet.
And like I've said, the pontificate actually would stress that it is only to be done when deemed necessary. Now, the leadership are who decide when it's necessary, but you are instilled with that value. Just with the also follow our orders value.
You only need to hang a village or two when they dissent. It's like whatever.
Everyone deserves a chance to serve the goddess.
Yes, that's
If it
that's
don't-
basically how it works, and that might explain.
Sometimes you disagree
Some
with
things.
us, and we just throw you on a tree, like just sit there, just dangle a little bit, do a little kick dance, and then you just don't worry
Tarna
about anything else
had a
ever
point
again.
against him and not being human.
Yeah, my social credit score was really low. I had some vice presidential memes on my phone.
Everyone wants to serve the goddess, they just don't know it yet, you know? They haven't been presented the opportunity. And
We're here to give them that chance.
And I had these horns on my head. It's like clearly he's he's different.
you're weighing me down, actually. Can you
From the church's perspective, Fora did what she did to preserve life on the archipelago. Not just for the people who follow who follow her, but everyone else who's on the archipelago. So from their perspective, that like every life, especially if they're the only people alive compared to the rest of the world, every life is valuable. It's just a matter of do we have to take a life right now?
So, sometimes they just make good decorations,
So
like,
ultimately, everyone on the archipelago lives by Fora's grace.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Whether they think that way or not. Super Strays asks, is it possible for a human and a Fawny to have children, and what would that look like? At the moment, I'm leaning towards no.
You keep saying no, and I keep being like, you're limiting the world.
For me, it's generally more of like a science fiction, almost more like thinking of like, how does the anatomy go together? I get that they look kind of similar, but how do you procreate with that's my mental block. If for
Have
some
you ever
reason,
seen a half halfling, half elf? Like,
yeah, and then, you know what that is? Nothing. Who gives a shit?
What
You know what that
if-
looks like? A guy.
What if we get a
That's-
bunch of Fawny cum and then we just get it in a human in some other way?
I've seen the debate that a
So easy
half
to do it the
elf,
natural
half
way, though.
dwarf is just the worst aspects of both races combined. And then the response to that was, so a human.
I mean, yeah, like that's the thing. When so many things look humanoid, okay. So what is a Fawny plus a human? I guess just someone who looks kind of human but has horns. Why is that
Well, I'm just-
interesting?
I'm just saying, like, at one point, some guy fucked a horse, and now you got centaurs. Like,
That is not canon to me in anything, and especially not here. In fact, centaurs are not canon to this world at all because I fucking hate centaurs.
I think we had a conversation about that in one of the upcoming books about centaurs.
I'm going to cut that
actually.
conversation because it's not actually interesting for the actual. But I don't like centaurs.
I thought it was funny.
Centaurs suck.
How do they wear pants?
Maybe
It's
you can see it
boring.
in the the deleted scenes. Maybe
Centaur are boring. They're fucking boring, and especially in a world where if we already have Fawny, we don't need Centaur. But also, yeah, I don't like how they look. There's nothing terribly interesting about them.
We're gonna get canceled by our large Centaur
I don't give a shit.
population that watches these videos. Damn.
Yeah, the Centaur lobby is going to be on us, man.
Get your
They
ukulele.
used to like us so much.
But like that it is one of those things where sometimes that like Nick will just throw something into the fantasy world and be like, absolutely not. Because I am strongly opinionated on some things.
Yeah, we have lines and veils, but it's really just about stuff we can put in the world and not where we go
Because
as players.
Jesse at one point was like, if I were to make another character, could it be an orc? And I said no. No orcs.
I love it
Yeah,
because like you're never like mad about anything we suggest. You're like, yo, let's talk about it. This is this, and it's like, no, I hate them. They suck and they can die.
The thing is, but even then, to be clear, while I say no, if someone has if there's a really compelling way to work it in, I will reconsider. I have not heard one yet.
You heard it, guys. We need to think of a really fucking good reason, and then we can
Now
get whatever we want.
accepting probably ChatGPT written essays on why you should include centaurs in your
I will
game.
read 0 essays. This is not for the audience. This is for the players and me.
Everyone
Send
write
them
your
to
best
me, I
essay
may
and
read
send
them.
it. Talesunwritten.show.gov.gmail.
If you send me
Anything to you.
any shit made by AI, I will block you. But, which I'm gonna talk shit in public right now.
Yeah.
So I won't say the company, but some fucking company sent us an AI like, hey, would you like to be sponsored by us for like AI like summaries of people's sessions? It listens to you and then comes up with a summary and then reads it with an AI voice. And I'm just like, it took so much effort for me to not say who they were, go online and say, fuck you, no. I controlled myself.
God.
But
Yeah.
if you're watching this and you're that person, fuck you, no.
And quick question, quick answer to the person asking if we still have a PO box. We do. The PO box on our socials is still the same one, 397 in Addison, Texas.
That's where you can print out your essays and physically mail them to us.
Don't. That thing has a finite amount of space, and if it gets too
People-
full, the
they
people
get
there
mad at
stare
us.
at me when I empty it.
The mail people bully us. They're like,
No, the male people get mad at us if we don't check it.
yeah, they
They
legit do. It's
And I
Problem
know
is, I'm
why,
the
they're
one
not
here that can
wrong.
Check it now.
they're not wrong.
Reasonably asks, do we have a new studio in LA, or is it just whoever's? It's Nick's house right now. We can't
Right now,
afford
it's
a
my
studio.
place.
This is about half of it right here. You can see it.
It's just like when we first moved to Texas. We used my place for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then when the support came in and we were able to afford a space, then we got a space.
Now I'm squatting in it.
So the PO box
We're
is
actually,
also
we're
where you
actually
can send us
subletting
large.
that one, yeah.
You can send us large amounts of money in the PO box, and we'll use it to get a studio. But yeah, no, whatever setting the room basically that you see us do bento box office stuff, that's the room.
It's the one right behind me right now.
Yeah.
I move things. I have to move this stuff around so much to make this place multi-purposed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're
yeah.
very happy. I mean, like I can say it, at least I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like we were happy with the set dressing that we did for books 3 and 4. We got creative with it.
It was
yes,
just incredibly cramped.
I worked very hard to make sure that the sets looked bigger than they were.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
think we
gonna
got
look. Yeah, it's gonna because that's what it is. It's gonna look bigger than it is.
Yeah, I would, when we do
shaved our
the Unraveled
pubes.
book 3, I'd love to hear estimates on just how much square footage we were playing around
Yeah.
with.
I specifically got this place because of this room. I'm like, okay, this room, I can make this work.
Yeah, yeah.
Ronodeath. People keep asking questions that are gonna get me a little fired up, but maybe that's fun for people. Ronodeath asks, what would a dark elf be like in this setting? Non-existent. Dark elves are fucked up. The existence of it as a concept is fucked up. The idea that like, all right, there's this race of people who have darker skin. Also, originally they also had coiled hair, and they're inherently evil and worship the god of being evil.
And spiders.
Incredibly fucked up. I'm never doing that. I am fundamentally opposed to that ideologically and creatively. And that's
if
also
they
why
li-
I am avoiding orcs.
And if they lived underground, their skin would be much paler.
Yeah, it also makes no sense.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know anything about D&D, but every campaign I've been in, basically, the DM has had very strong opinions about dark elves. The same opinion of being like, it's weird. It's fucking bad. And I'm like, oh, why? And then they give me the whole spiel, and it's very funny. Like all these DMs who don't know each other, I'll have this same opinion on it.
Go have a long chat with Minthara in Baldur's Gate 3, and it at least lets you a little bit into that.
If you did end up doing some sort of like under elf, I imagine they'd be something close to like what you do with your elves, where they have like the tree branch, but instead of that they'd be kind of like more myconid-esque, where they'd be like
yes,
mushrooms
and probably bioluminescent because it's fun. So like you could have
that's
people
really
who live
fun,
underground and who are just elves who live somewhere else.
There you go. That's a sub race of elf, kind of.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when I think dark elf, I think of everything that
drow
is the idea of like the drow, and I'm like, I hate it so much. But there could be people who have different features because they live somewhere different. That part's fine. No issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah, because this also might be, I might actually, I don't know honestly if I'm wrong about this. I'm just putting forth a thing. If people live underground, isn't it more likely that their skin would be like really white?
Yeah,
like
that's
what I just said.
Awesome. Okay, I wasn't certain if it like, because am I thinking of
think Smeagol.
Yeah, I think I was like picturing like a specific thing, and I
but
think
also
it
like
be...
depending on how dark it is, like if it's like a deep sea like fish or something, they would have translucent skin, which is even weirder.
Think The Descent. Just
I think was I thinking of The Descent? What did they look
maybe.
like under there?
I mean, they were just like pale, relatively eyeless creatures that had good senses of hearing and smell.
I'm picturing a creature with white skin and red eyes, and I don't know what that is right now.
I mean, the Descent did have like red eyes when they did have lights on them.
Oh, moving on.
Maybe it's that then.
Sorry, I can talk about monster movies. I like this.
Kanalia asks, please update on the player character's mental state. You'll get that next episode. That's what the next episode's for.
Yeah, the next episode is where you'll see a lot of this fallout, and then into book 3 as well.
If you want a little bit of an update after that, maybe we can give you a tease of it, but that's what the show's for.
You get to watch how they develop. As for where they're at right now, exhausted.
Yeah, the drugs are wearing off.
We're crashing.
And Karna is gobsmacked.
Where do we send money to get poor Quinn moved out of the office and into a home somewhere? Well, if you go to shop.talesunwritten.com, there is a donation page.
Or patreon.com/TFS.
I was actually going to not include the donation. Like the donation thing was just there automatically when I was putting together the site. And I was like, I was going to take it off. But then someone last week was like, hey, is there a place where I can just donate money? And I was like,
Sure.
And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll put that back. And so if there's a place where you just want to donate money, you can do it actually at shop.talesrunning.com if you want.
As a super chat or as bits and subs. And
there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, if you don't want to be a member or a patron, but you still want to give a little bit of money just once, that's a good place to do it.
Yeah. How deep does the lore about the religion of the pontificate go? May have missed that. That was answered in earlier sessions. A lot of it is stuff that Stephan and I work out, or Stephan has already built up.
In terms of what the pontificate is.
Yeah.
In terms of like the past, it does actually go. That's one of those things I have thought through incredibly heavily, but unless it comes up in the story, it's not gonna be in it.
Are tieflings a thing in this world? No, it seems Stephan seems to have based this world very heavily off of like Celtic sort of mythology.
Yeah,
I
Celtic
think.
wealth, like the Welsh, Tuatha De Danann stuff. I like to draw from the same inspirations that a lot of the people who inspired this genre draw from. I think that leads to more interesting stories. That said, that doesn't mean things that like creatures that are similar to tieflings don't exist.
Yeah,
maybe they already do in my lore.
It doesn't mean that devils and demons don't exist. We just haven't come across any.
Also, the that's one thing that's not making it in. The like, oh, there's devils and there's demons. Fuck that. Stupid. D&D lore stupid.
I like the delineation between law and chaos.
That's fine. They can be the same guys, but with on different sides.
So you just don't
But
like the fact that names that names are reserved for one and the other.
Yes.
Devils are the fuckable ones. Demons are the monsters. Like,
And you know what? That's a distinction that is so confusing to anybody who is not deep in D&D lore.
And don't even bring up daemons.
Oh God.
I'm not playing Cyberpunk right now.
It's in D&D too.
And in Warhammer. Someone Kanali says, I want to sob though. Delaware being a pontificate soldier has me pissed.
Oh yeah, and not happy about that myself, frankly. You know, like real peeved on that one. But you know what? If I were happy about everything, it wouldn't be a very interesting story, would it?
If the players were to play a one-off villain instead of their character, what would you play? Well, if we do that, then we'd be spoiling you. We can't tell you these things, guys. I'm not mad. I don't know if I have to make that clear. I hope my tone makes that clear.
The question was like, play a one-off villain?
Yes.
Was that the question?
Yes.
Villain in a one-shot?
Player character villain. Like, if you guys want to give a little bit of a hint of like what you'd find interesting, you could.
Like in terms of like being a villain?
Yeah. Like if you were to play a villain as a player character, what would be interesting to you?
I feel like for me, it's pretty easy to guess that I would kind of just go as an Alex who zigged instead of zagged in book 1.
Maud would make a fantastic villain, and I haven't thought about that until this moment. Like, my favorite villains are like silly, dumb, fucked up little guys, you know? And I think I would find that extremely interesting if Maud had like gone down a bad route. And so you have this villain who is like just chaotic, kind of like not even I guess he is technically a villain, but I'm thinking of that politician character played by Paul Rudd in Parks and Rec,
Bobby Newport.
Yeah, Bobby Newport, where he's just kind of dumb and has a good heart, but he doesn't know he's doing bad shit. I think that would be very fun. But maybe make Maud a little more evil, where she's like, I know I'm doing fucked up bad shit, and I'm gonna do it because I want to.
You like, it's the version that like drank Rufflepaw's Kool-Aid, where it's like, no, I need to be the strongest. I will prove to you that I'm the strongest.
Yeah, exactly. There is definitely a route that she goes down where it's the bad ending for Maud, where she turns out more fucked up.
Yeah,
go ahead. I was gonna say, like, the anti-Karna is kind of an easy answer, because the one thing that I don't use as Karna is enchantment magic, because I think that is one of the most evil forms of magic, like way worse than necromancy, because you're just messing with corpses there. With enchantment, you're fucking with people's free will.
Yeah.
Totally. I hadn't thought about that until you brought it up. When we were, I forget, I know we were at the table and you were talking about that being a spell and how it's fucked up because like you're taking away consent from someone basically.
Yeah, I don't use friends. I don't use charm person. I don't use like the only enchantment magic I think I have is sleep, and I think that's more benign.
Yes, because you're at least not making someone do something against their will.
Well, you're making them fall asleep against their will, but that's also like,
it's more I'd rather do this thing
function. Kill you. Yeah. Because charm person, enthrall, dominate person, even like an evil Karna with the kind of charisma level that he has would be awful. Like,
oh my god. Okay, this is just a soft pitch. It's not going to happen because I'm saying it out loud. But we should do a one shot where all our characters are evil. And we just do a silly thing, like a Halloween or some shit. We're all villains. We call it villains.
Could be.
Tales rewritten as villains.
No, Tales rewritten is another concept. You can't spoil it.
Tales.
The only reason it's spoiled, because you said that.
Maybe like bad Tales. Just a stupid name. Tales that are bad.
Did Cassie use enchantment magic this episode? I do want to go back to this question real quick that we were already on, but just want to answer real quick. Did Cassie use enchantment magic this episode? Yes, but all she did was basically daze somebody and keep them from fighting people.
It was also apparently her awakening her ability, so I don't even think she really understands what it is.
I think she knew she wanted the fighting to not happen.
I'm sorry I played my instrument so good that someone wanted to stop and listen to me.
Yeah. I think that's definitely on the end of like Karna could use that and not feel bad.
Yeah.
Like just stopping someone from taking an action. That's essentially what sleep is.
Yeah, I decided to lean more into the kinetic power, like the kinetic abilities of sound with Karna, which is how I flavor pretty much every single one of his spells.
That's all sound waves.
It's sound waves, the ways that the sound just kind of like manipulate
It can
matter.
be powerful in real life. But I actually want to like more than the anti-Karna, like I like this idea of like each of you exploring like what's not the anti, like a new character that's a villain, but like if your character was like if Karna had become a villain, what would he be like?
It would have had to have been after
The thing with Delamere, yeah. Like
yeah. After
bad
losing
version of
Delamere,
that?
he would have become a terrorist. Like he would have just like done what he could have to
no matter the consequences and justifies the means.
Yeah, after he discovered what his powers were, he would have done like he probably would have been killed, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Like the decisions that he made would have led him to a path where he never would have made it to the start of this story.
Yeah.
Because he would have been like just trying to fuck up the church at every turn.
I feel like the answer is probably pretty easy for you, Quinn, but
Yeah, he might have been the person that hunted Karna down. Alex would have become like not even an apostle commander. I think he would have gone with like an inquisitor. His inner motivation to do good kind of twisted in the sense that he is the worst kind of enforcer of forest justice.
maybe this is a fun. Yeah, we're coming up with a concept for like a little one shot right now.
Fora's
Right?
most loyal dog.
Of,
I
like,
think so. I think that's fucking fun as hell.
redo the episode 1, but with the context that every character is the evil version of themselves.
Just change my entire spell list and
yeah, like
It's
just
one of my
an
favorite-
alternate universe.
all of a sudden I use vicious mockery and
yeah.
It's one of my favorite tropes. Is like they did it in Buffy, they did it in whatever. But
Yeah.
like, what if a character was evil?
yeah,
That's fun.
the parallel universe.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna commit to it. We're gonna do that at some
Oh,
point.
man.
Someone suggested cautionary tales, and I do
Yeah,
love
I saw
that.
that too.
That's really fun.
Fluffy Puppy will get credit for cautionary tales if that's
Yeah.
what we go with.
Thank you. That rules. Yeah, because like I now thinking about it, Maud's villain origin story, I feel, is either that moment where she leaves, like that moment happens where either she has had enough of her mother's abuse and she kills her mother and then just starts being mean to her sister in the same way and kind of ordering her sister around, or she kills her sister and is just still under her mother's thumb, and then her mother might send her off to be out in the world and do fucked up shit, you know.
Oh, sorry. Quick correction. Strike attack with cautionary tales. Fluffy Puppy just reiterated it.
Yeah.
Real quick, Sailor Fox Sound asks how much are memberships. In order to see early episodes, only $2. That's all it costs. Every single member gets access to episodes early. And $2 is the floor. Do we want to keep
But
going
if
with that
you get
question?
$5,
Go ahead.
you get special stuff.
You get members only videos for $5. You get DM assets for $5, and you also get lore articles that are going to be coming out during the off season for $5. And $10 people also get that, plus like some updates on how progress is going and whatnot, with like maybe some pictures or videos or stuff. And
Yeah,
little sneak
$10.
peeks.
We like you long time. And Jason S, thank you for gifting 10 gift memberships.
Thank you kindly. All 10 of you folk can get access to the final chapter of book 2 early.
Absolutely.
We are vamping the hell out of.
Hell yeah.
No, yeah, which I was gonna say, like, I think we're winding down. One more question here. Let's see. If y'all have time, are wizarding colleges? Like, do they exist?
Are there wizarding
Learn
colleges?
Wizarding?
Yes.
There are places of magical learning. Yes.
There are places of magical learning.
Magic school.
There's magic school.
Magic school.
We're gonna go to magic school.
We're just turning into a South Park character. Hey guys.
It really does sound like
we're doing the Dungeons and Dragons movie from 4-Star Bento, the Bento box office. Go check it out.
I don't think we need to promote that here. It's the other way around.
I'll promote you know what? Promote both ways. You never know who finds what.
I promote both ways. So we're gonna be ending the
Happy
episode.
Pride.
I'm putting
Pride.
everything live. we gotta get this episode
Go
of
get
this thing
on
done.
out of here. We'll see you next week. I'm gonna
Hey,
go play more
yeah.
Baldur's Gate.
Thank you for coming. We'll see you this time next week for the book
The
book
finale.
2 finale.
Thank you for coming and
happy
also
ending.
being here.
Please come.
One second. I'm gonna make it real awkward. I actually could have transitioned a little bit ago, and I'm just going to let this sit.
My eyes are so dry.